This is Paul. Yeah. I was spending a little time this morning thinking about different types of witnesses that I'm going to want to pay the living expenses for the next 10 years. There are a few individuals that I have known over the years while going to various meetings, anonymous meetings, and I had made mention at one point that I paid $50,000 a year for 10 years for those that I call the bags that I had tagged. Now, I know it's difficult to believe that when you issue a protection order that violates my right to due process, violates my son's rights as children, and then you falsify a police arrest and put me in jail, false imprisonment, and then you have a state's response that says that it's a valid protection order when it's not. And then I continue to email those in law enforcement and attorneys and oaths of office that my rights are being raped. I had quite a few individuals that I think really could testify on the stand that there were a lot of rights being violated and there was the use of a lot of technology. How are you today? Now, I had planned on employing somewhere around 200,000 plus attorneys to represent me in lawsuits against every oath of office in the United States. Against those that have sworn that they would support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And someone pointed out, well, Congress can tax any income and effectively any product that has a special type of legislation tax. And then I found out that there's a possibility that my custody rights have been violated because I smoked cigarettes when the taxes from my cigarettes were going to pay for the wages of those that are employees of the government. Now, when I had documented that this protection order and my personal life experiences have violated Amendments 1 through 10 of the Bill of Rights, what could be 11, 12, and the 14th Amendment, that amendment that guarantees me the due process rights of being an American citizen. Then there was the 16th Amendment, violating my right to custody because I pay taxes because of the cigarettes that I smoke here. Then there's the enforcement of Amendment number 18, the repealed amendment that prohibited the consumption of alcohol, because certain individuals would say that I've been drinking when I hadn't, and if I found that any written sealed statement that said I was drinking and smoking and using drugs when I wasn't, I would say that those statements are false evidence. When you write a sealed statement to the court, it has to be 100% truthful, and I have mentioned that. I have mentioned it. I haven't been able to read the actual statements of Jessica Lee Hodges or Heidi Lee Budnek. But then I found out they repealed that amendment number 18, and so if my custody rights are being violated because it's dependent upon the statements that I've been drinking, you violated amendment number 21 because I hadn't been drinking, but you'd say I'm a bad parent because of some falsified sealed statement about me drinking when I hadn't been. That would be amendments 1 through 10, 12, 13, 14, 16, 18, and 21. Then we get to the Articles of the United States Constitution. I think it's Article 1 is being obstructed. Article 3, 4, 6, and 7 are being violated. Now, I was reading You and the Law this morning. Yes. There's what's called the hostile witness. A witness who, under direct examination, displays such prejudice or hostility toward the party that called him to the stand that such party is permitted to cross-examine him. There are those witnesses that I personally want to bag so as they be available to give some sort of testimony, a subpoena, discovery, deposition, whatever they call it in the legal profession. And I probably got 20, maybe 25 bags that, in my mind, when they're $1 trillion lawsuits, you can't afford to not support those that know. But then there are those witnesses that I don't support. Those witnesses that were there when Brent Baston issued the protection order, where the petitioner didn't sign it, and I wasn't given notice an opportunity. I'm going to need maybe 15 to 20 hostile witnesses that I don't pay the living expenses for. That really dislike me. Could be police officers that lose their jobs because I sue them for everything they own and they end up going to prison. Now, some people would say, well, it discredits the testimony of an individual if you pull them out of prison so that they can testify on the stand. But what I'm wanting is the actual truthful testimony of every individual in the police department. Because I'll call you to the stand. And I'll make you testify about why it is you won't enforce the law. I have witnesses that are, excited about having a decade's worth of living expenses paid for. I call it the debit card and cell phone. I give them a cell phone that my legal firm knows the telephone number of, and I call them up and say, well, I'd like to know what you know about this. And a debit card that has a $50,000 annual account balance. Now, we can set it up so it's a monthly payment. Those are the witnesses that I pay the living expenses for, because I want to know anything about any of my personal experiences or the experiences. Then I'm going to want another 20 to 25 city employees, county employees, state employees, or federal employees that have any knowledge of why my sons are missing. And why my rights are not being enforced. Those that really don't like me, that I don't pay the expenses for. Now, give me every hostile witness this morning.